Hi, this is Ayan. When I was thinking about this theme, Taiko story, 50 years and beyond, it made me think about some of the ways that have helped me improve my musicianship and develop as a better teacher and the way I approach certain collaborations. So I thought I might share some of them here. Take a moment to imagine that you and your group are a few days away from your big concert, and perhaps you're already in the theater doing run-throughs, and you as a player take a moment to step out into the audience side to watch what's going on within the run-through of the piece. And as you do this, you might notice certain things about how the group looks or sounds. These are all very valuable things to make sure everybody gets feedback on before the performance. And when you step back in as a player, very likely you'll have a different perspective, this outside perspective that will help you play better. You'll play differently because you've seen what it looks like and sounds like from the outside. It'll help you play better. This is a very common scenario, but I would like to take this analogy and let's imagine this taiko ensemble is the entire genre of modern ensemble taiko drumming. Sometimes it's called kumidaiko or wadaiko if you're in Japan, but this concept of a fairly new idea of just a drumming ensemble with taiko being presented on its own versus using taiko as an accompaniment instrument as it's been done for hundreds of years before that. So let's imagine we're stepping out of this genre of modern ensemble drumming. And what do we see from the outside? Well, here's some things that I've done to get a different perspective of this genre. I have 5 different points that I wanted to present today. Number 1 is my perspective as a drum set player. So drum set players spend a lot of time working on things like groove. To become better accompanists, as a drum set player, you'll need to make sure you're solid, understand the rules of pulse and subdivisions. There'll be a lot of playing along with music that is appropriate to your studies. All these things are very, very valuable for any drummer or any musician to experience. So that would be number 1. Number 2, for me, it's the approach of a jazz player transcribing solos from the musicians they admire or they find important to their field. So a lot of jazz musicians do this in their development, is to listen to old recordings and transcribe solos, learn them, analyze them, and then go on to the next solo. And as you do this, you develop a foundation of what is important in this genre, what came before you, and allows you to jump forward and start to innovate based on these building blocks that you've kind of peeked into through transcribing these solos. Number 3 for me is very important, traditional music. So I have been in a many-year-long study of edobayashi, which is the traditional festival music of Tokyo. And it's endlessly fascinating, and I really can't get enough of it after all these years. It provides so much. It provides context for the way instruments were used before, the importance and the connection between music and festivals, the amount of technique that I've developed based on the very challenging music found in edobayashi, or even learning other traditional forms. It could be folk forms or more classical forms like the music of No and Kabuki, or even Gagaku. Understanding traditional music as a taiko player, or really as any instrumentalist, is extremely, extremely important. Number 4 would be sound. Sound is sort of like our voice. We need to have a sense of what kind of sound we're striving for, and we need to search that out by finding our sound heroes or role models in whatever instrument. One example would be in my study of edobayashi, I listened to old recordings of Wakayama Sensei, who is the current head of the Wakayama Shachu group, which Suzuki Sensei is a member of. Wakayama Sensei's fue on these recordings, it doesn't even sound like a fue, it sounds like a human voice. And this is something that I find amazing and something I'm always trying to strive to get my sound closer to that sound. So having a sound concept that you're always trying to work toward is absolutely crucial, I think, as any musician. And finally, number 5 would be private lesson study. Studying music privately is very, very common and accepted, especially in a field like studying European classical music. This might be done starting at a very young age in a very structured format, especially if you're learning something like piano or violin. This is something that is very, very normal in something like music school. Every single week I had a private lesson with my teachers, and it was just a normal part of your study is to learn something new from your teacher, have homework, practice it for a week, come back and present it to your teacher for feedback, and then you'd continue on with the next piece and the next piece and the next piece. And it continues on. And this kind of very, very focused, individualized attention is so important to get better. And hopefully you're studying under a great teacher who will help you with whatever goals you have, help you achieve those goals. These 5 points have helped me especially walk back into the genre with a different perspective and helped me really improve my musicianship and really boost my development as a player and a teacher. So it's something that I always encourage all my students to do, and I still do to this day, especially during my practice sessions here in my studio. I'm always following these and other routines that fall a little bit outside of the norm of the taiko ensemble genre. Finally, I would like to kind of provide a little example of how I might take some of these, or maybe multiple points that I presented here, and give a little example of how I might approach doing this. In June, I was in Tokyo doing a private lesson intensive with Suzuki Sensei, working, furthering my study on Edobayashi. And luckily enough, during my trip, there was a Wakayama Shachu performance in Tokyo at a small shrine during a small festival. And I was able to watch Wakayama Shachu perform Edobayashi several times. And with Suzuki Sensei's permission, I audio recorded a couple of those performances. And when I listened back, I realized how amazing the kane playing was with this very high-level senpai player, Omata-san. In a kind of a rare opportunity, he happened to be playing atarigane in this one run-through. So I was fascinated by what he was playing, which is so different from what I had been studying on my own, that I decided to transcribe it. So I notated it in Western notation. It was about a 15-minute run-through of the piece, and I just decided to spend the hours to write it all out. And after doing that, I practiced it, took it back to my next lesson with Suzuki Sensei, and asked him to make sure it's okay that I'm playing it properly and it matches the style of what we're trying to go for. A lot of different things, a lot of different points happening at the same time, including private lesson study, transcribing notation, learning from a teacher, striving to get a certain sound that is in my mind. Omata-san's kane sound is absolutely spectacular. The next thing I'm going to demonstrate is playing this Edobayashi transcribed atarigane played by Omata-san. I'll play that along with Brecker Brothers' King of the Lobby. This song I studied as a drum set student a long time ago because it has a certain feel that I thought was very groovy. I'm going to play this kane part on top of this Brecker Brothers tune here. There's my example. Hopefully you can kind of see how all of the points that I talked about today apply to that example. Hopefully there's something interesting or useful in this video. Feel free to contact me anytime for questions. Check out my website for other things like this, and good luck with your practicing. See you next time.